Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey,
Couch Classics here. This is Raytoon.
Sticks. We're coming at you with Final Fantasy today.
Yes.
The best Final Fantasy. Hands down. No arguments. No questions. Everyone else can go home.
Yep.
This is the game to beat all games.
And when you're... Go ahead and think about the best one. Are you ready, everyone? Final Fantasy
Absolutely everyone.
8.
8. It's the best.
Yes.
And it doesn't get enough credit.
Yep.
For those of you out there who actually enjoy this game, who love it as much as we do, you know what we're talking about. For everyone else, you haven't played this game.
Yeah.
Go back and play it.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Everybody who played Final Fantasy VII didn't like this game. And then every Final Fantasy game after this one, except for 9, has copied Final Fantasy VIII in almost every way. So think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody loved Final Fantasy VII. Everybody hated Final Fantasy VIII. So they went back to 9. Nobody really liked 9.
Mm-hmm.
And then from then forward, they've copied 8.
For some reason.
Just think about that. Before you buy into the joke that Final Fantasy VII is the best. It's okay. I can't force myself to beat it, but it's okay.
I've
tried.
many times.
I've put forth the effort more than once.
I always fall asleep.
I've been thinking about trying again. One of these days I'll beat it. It's kind of like reading the Tolkien books. Someday I'll probably read through them all, but
if you can stay awake long enough to do it.
It's rough. It's a rough hoe to haul, or whatever the saying is.
It's a grinder, is what it is.
But in all seriousness, we absolutely love Final Fantasy VIII. One of the reasons is because it was our first Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
I remember seeing advertisements on pizza. Got pizza on the brain. On Pepsi boxes, they had advertisements for Final Fantasy VII. And I remember looking at the graphics and going, wow, this is really cool looking, you know? And I had no idea what an RPG was or anything like that. You know, it was just spiky-haired dude. It wasn't pulled from the game. It was their computer CGI images, not the game graphics. But either way, it was really cool looking, you know? And I always wanted to play it. And I had friends that played it, said it was really good. But it wasn't enough for me to run out and buy it. And actually, I think at the time it was before we had our PlayStation.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
I think it was one of the reasons why we wanted one. We wanted a PlayStation, but
one of the big pushes. Another one was they always had like the racing games and stuff always looked really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation 1 did that really well.
Yeah.
But anyway, the advertisement for Final Fantasy VIII is what did it for me. On television, popped up, probably on Cartoon Network, the network of choice.
Mm-hmm.
Popped up, and it starts the music, you know, and it's like the choir singing female voices, and there's blue sky, big ocean, and it's rolling over the ocean, and then it's the field, and the pretty girl, and the feathers falling down, the little words saying, you know, I'll be waiting here for you. The music's building up, and there's two guys standing in a battlefield facing off at each other with what appears to be swords, right? And they start battling, and the music's going, da, 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 and they're battling, and the guy throws a fireball in his face, and he's like, and then he slices him. There's blood everywhere. And then he does this big thing.
Slices him back.
And a flash.
Final Fantasy VIII.
That is what drew us in. And I was like, I have to get this game. This is the first game I've ever had the sole desire of like, I have to buy this. If I don't buy this, it's game over for me. Mm-hmm. The rest of life is no longer worth living if I don't have this game.
Yeah.
So, this is a game where I went, this is really big because I went on release date. I'm sure it was in one of the commercials for the game where it said, you know, out on such and such date. I was there at Walmart on release day ready to get this game. And that's what I did. I bought the game, I bought the guide, and I was like, I'm ready to go. That is one of the most used guides I've ever had.
Yeah.
But we brought that home, and we played that so much.
Mm-hmm.
It was me, and it was you, and we had Tony over all the
Yeah.
time.
Andrew. And it took
Andrew
long
was
enough.
over playing all the time.
We put in 50 to 100 hours, I think, in that game. So it was
playing through that game. And then, like, there was so much to that game. Because, like, you get through the game, you're working through the guide and everything. You get to the end, and it's like, okay, and now there's all this bonus stuff you can do. And I was like, there's more of the game than just a game.
Yeah, there's more game.
So, like, finish the game once, and then started all over again and started cross-referencing with all the bonus stuff.
Yeah.
And they've got the card game, the side game. So you collect cards for this card game, triple triad, and you get it from different people. NPCs are just around the world as you're working through have these different cards, and you challenge them for rare cards and special cards and all this kind of stuff. It was just
you can challenge a lot of the NPCs to play. Specific ones have specific cards. Each different region has a different set of rules, and they get kind of all jumbled and mixed up. So you start off pretty basic, then it gets really complex. You got to be careful which
rules. You got to pay attention.
Yeah, you got to really be careful. But I mean, so the first thing that I noticed, in the intro video is just how awesome the graphics were. At the time, PlayStation 1, our experience up until then was A Bug's Life and Test Drive Off-Road 2.
Crash Bandicoot 2.
And so, I mean, when those came out, when those graphics were realistic, to me. But then that Final Fantasy intro video, blows my mind. And it's still one of the best graphics, I think, on PlayStation 1 that there is. But, all the cutaway scenes and everything in that game, and they're just beautiful. And then I think the next immediate thing that you recognize is that the music was outstanding, especially as compared to the others. I mean, A Bug's Life had like movie scene cutaways that you unlocked as you went, and I thought that was really cool having a movie on the game, but it was just straight bad renderings of the movie graphics. But this one was all its own animation, everything like that, and just the music and the animation was the first thing that I just couldn't believe it. I'm still, I think, a little bit in shock. I don't know how long ago that was, but I'm still
it's been
in
a
awe.
few years, but
I just turned it on the other day and watched just the intro video.
Just the intro?
Like, that's
so
cool.
Awesome.
Just really.
And I listen to the soundtrack all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Nobuo Uematsu did the soundtrack. Awesome.
Yeah.
Shake your head. I can't pronounce it very well.
Yeah.
But yeah, awesome soundtrack.
Yeah. And then right off the bat, I mean, it's pretty quick. You start off, you're like this random dude that you've seen in the intro video, and when he kind of mopes around,
bam, flash, everything goes white and everything, and then you wake up in the infirmary.
Yeah, and they get you out pretty quick. You get outside, you can fight monsters. You're supposed to go on a specific school-related quest. So basically, you're a student in a school where you learn how to battle monsters. So you learn how to fight, you learn how to use magic, you learn all this different stuff, and the whole school has all these different sections in it for the different, I guess, now looking back, I think, you could think of it like Sky High or, what's that newer one that was only it's on Netflix now, Video Game High School.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
There's like everyone has their specialties,
right.
And so you just go to different instructors and you learn different things. You learn battle tactics and strategy and everything like that. And eventually,
magic.
Eventually, you enter basically like the battle mage military kind of thing. There's soldiers, and the soldiers use magic and swords and guns and whatever their different specialties. I think it's basically like a military school, basically.
Right, and then that's how it's all set up. Which, I forgot to mention this, the weapons that appeared like swords in the intro video have gun handles on them that, you can obviously see in the video. And I was like, what? You can't do that. I was a lot younger back then, and it blew my mind.
Gunblade.
Mm.
Really
anyway,
cool. So
so you're in a military school.
Yeah. And so right off the bat, you're out, you fight monsters, they're kind of teaching you how to do things, and you're supposed to go on like a final exam kind of thing where you go and fight a big boss battle. And
that's right. You got to get your first Guardian Force.
Yeah.
And a lot of the Final Fantasy games are the same. So if you played something else, it's your summon. They call them Guardian Forces, and that's how you gain your magical abilities and helps to upgrade your stats and things like that. So special abilities.
Yeah. So your Guardian Forces level up, you level up, and one of the best parts is the enemies level up while you level up. And so starting game, you'll have basic magics from a common monster, and by the end of the game, they'll have more advanced magics and things like that are actually useful, instead of being in end game and you're still getting like Blizzard or whatever, you're dropping that kind of stuff, it's just, you're not coming into that. And so, once you can figure out the battle mechanics, I mean, it's just
which are really simple.
It really encourages you to fight as many different monsters as you can, because you get more stuff to equip and upgrade your character.
More magics and different things like that. And each of the magics, the way it worked, and I guess this confused a bunch of people, but the way it worked is you took a specific magic spell, you had a certain number of them, like an item. And you piled up, you had a good stockpile, say 100 of them, then you could attach that to your stats. So if you wanted accuracy to go up, you got 100 magic and put it in your accuracy slot. And your accuracy was increased by 100 points.
Yeah.
So you could, as long as you leveled up your Guardian Forces and everything, open up all your different slots and then junction all these different magics to it. As long as you had a pile of magic, you were good to go. You had very powerful characters because you added all these bonus stats through the magics and stuff. So
it was awesome.
It was pretty simple.
It was really cool.
It's a piece of cake.
Yeah, not that complicated. That's it. That's the whole premise. Your goal is to unlock all your slots and fill them up with as much awesome magic as you can get. And you got to keep changing it as you go, because you keep getting new stuff, and you
had to build your weapons. Reasons. As you went, you had to build your weapons. Like, you could find different magazines scattered around, and they told you how to build new weapons. So you find this magazine, you open it up, and it's like, gun mag of the week or whatever, and you open it up and you learn how to make, new weapons for the different characters. And you had to go out and find the pieces and grind them out and then put it all together, build your new upgraded weapons. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I loved that
really
part.
Cool. So, I mean, the junction system, that was good. The bosses are all really good. I really like the...
Something else that I absolutely love about this game. You don't see in games very often. You see all these games, like, I'm playing through Warcraft right now, World of Warcraft. You're running around, I'm a fire mage, and I'm throwing fireballs at fire elementals, and it kills them. Makes no sense whatsoever. Final Fantasy VIII, it all makes sense. You got a fire elemental, you throw an ice spell at him, it kills him because he's weak to ice.
Yeah.
It makes more sense to me. And you see this in some games, but it's not very common.
Yeah.
So you can get huge critical hits off of hitting these monsters with specific elementals. Like, there's one point where you fight a zombie boss, and if you hit him with a massive cure spell, he dies instantly because he's a zombie, and the opposite of that is curing him. So opposites, as long as you're thinking about that, everything works out great in this game.
Yeah.
If you're not, then you throw fireballs at the bomb element, and you're going to heal him.
He gets bigger.
Be really frustrated.
Blow up and kill you. So don't do that. So, to me, the Guardian Forces, the summons in this game were really, really cool. I liked all of them. Yeah. There's, some of them are a lot harder to get. Some of them are just built into the story, but it's the side quest ones that are really worth doing. All the side quests, I think, were really worth doing. Going and getting.
It's a fairly open world too. Like all these games have somewhat of a linear story to them, which is normal.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a point where you make it and you get the ability to move around the world. So you fly around, do whatever, and it helps a ton. Opens up a huge chunk of the world. You can go to all these new areas.
Mm-hmm.
You can get chocobos and cover all these secret areas and stuff, and get special items and things like that, and do all these side quests. And then, like, later on in the main story, you get your airship and you can fly around to other places and stuff, and it opens up the rest of the world. But you can literally fly all over the world and land wherever you want and do different stuff. So I really enjoyed that part of it. It was less linear. I feel like a lot of the newer stuff is so linear that it kills the exploration. And that's
like
something
13
I really
was
like.
really linear. It was just basically going from corridor to corridor in this game. I mean, 13 is beautiful. It's a beautiful game, but it's really linear.
They all are, really.
Yeah. But, what really got me about 13, or about 8 that 7 never did, is you just, by the time you finish the game, you care so much about the characters, or at least the ones in your primary quest. There's always a low point in the game when you have to use the other characters that you don't.
Because you have 3 in your party at a time. So you've got your main 3 that you've been using
3.
a lot, and you've got your backup characters that you weren't really paying attention to. So you go from playing the one characters, and maybe you're at level 40 on your main characters, and you go back to the other characters and they're level 20, 25.
You have to use them for story purposes. But aside from that, I mean, you really do care about all the characters, and I mean, I think they did really well with that. The story was really good, and just the emotion between the characters was good enough, at least to connect me to the characters. So that was important. That was one thing that hadn't happened to me before in a video game. Just you didn't really care until Metal Gear Solid came out, of course, and then,
Wow. Go back and watch that video, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, I had a link right here.
Yeah, good place to do it. Yeah, but, and I think 8 was the first one that I was like, man, you're worried about one of the characters is going to die. There's a point where it's just can't believe this is going to happen after I'm on the 4th disc. 3rd or 4th disc, and one of the main characters is gonna die. It's
right, or
you got all stressed out.
You hook up with the one guy and he's acting all bad and he's cool and he's a cowboy and he's a sniper, and he gets to the point where he's supposed to shoot and he's having this internal struggle of whether or not he's going to do it or not, and you're like, It's
oh, you're the sniper. Your job is to shoot someone. Yeah, I got it. And then the whole thing is built up to that, and then he just can't do it.
You go through the whole internal struggle as he's going through it. So, yeah, no, I think they did a really good job of developing characters as you go through it. It was an excellent story, very memorable, infinitely replayable. I mean, I've played start to finish at least a half dozen times by myself, and we've played through together a couple times. So. So yeah, it was awesome. Lots of side quests, lots of stuff. There's lots of stuff to do before they invented achievements. Before they came up with this magical achievement thing that popped up on your screen, gamers just did this by themselves as achievements.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a lot of replay value in it. Leveling your characters all the way up to max. There's a lot of extra bosses that you don't have to fight. But if you level up and grind through it, and you do, there's good rewards for doing so. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
It's not... I never felt at any point, really, that you had to sit and just grind. I never really felt I have to grind or we're not going to continue the story, And you get that in some JRPG games where you just have to you play for an hour or whatever, and then you got to go grind for a couple hours. I got that a lot in Ni no Kuni where, I'm playing through or whatever, and it's an awesome story and you're having fun, and then you hit a dead end, and until you can level up a couple times and get your characters built up, it's game over. Anywhere. You're just going to sit and grind, and it was rough.
Yeah.
I feel that it killed the momentum of the story and everything, but...
That game, by the way, is really, really nice. It's a beautiful
We will do that game. But, Anyway, yeah, Final Fantasy VIII it just ran smooth. Everything worked really well together. A lot of good synergy between all of the different points.
Mm-hmm.
The music was done really well so that as you're going through the different areas, it doesn't really get repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
Except for a couple of story points that were a little slow.
Yeah, we could probably go and pick out a few of the story points that are just you get to them and it's just like, ugh, I got to do this.
Kind of a slow story, and because it's a slow story, the music's the same for the entirety of it, so you start getting dun 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 dun.
All those
it's one of the songs
scenes
that goes on for all eternity in one of the flashback scenes. So that one jumps out at me when I'm thinking about it.
The flashback scenes.
But yeah, for the most part, I mean, the music plays really well. It builds on the emotion of what's happening in the scene and everything. The cinematics were really, really good and very ahead of their time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, absolutely, hands down, it was an awesome game, worth every penny.
Yeah. So
for how much time we've put into it and continued gameplay.
If someone told you that you didn't like it and you never tried it because someone told you didn't like it, go and play it. If you did play it and you just didn't like it, that's fine. You know, it's everyone's
thing. It is
a
little dated. I wish that they would do an honest update on it to make it a little smoother, but you can get on PlayStation Network, at least last time I checked, you could for
I'd love to see just like a completely remastered, like just rebuild
That'll
the game.
Never happen.
I know, because we're the only two people on the planet that like it, I think. But
that's not the truth. There's a lot of people out there that love this game, but not a lot of people talk about it. You know, you get a lot of people complaining, you know, all these Final Fantasy games are good. And, you know, they list off 3 and 4 and 7, and then they go jump ahead to 10 and move on from there, and it's like, okay, but 8 is the best, so all of you were wrong. No, honestly, go back and play it if you're up to it. The graphics are dated for sure, but it's never going to get like you're never going to get to a point where you're like, oh yeah, those graphics really looked good, unless you were willing to go back and play those games. It's not like I sit down and play Mario and I'm like, oh man, these graphics are so awesome.
Yeah,
they are for the time period, but
it's just
they're not so bad that it takes away from the gameplay. You're not going to have to struggle through it. We've replayed it recently, just a couple years ago.
Just a few years ago, we played through it together, so
it's not horrific.
And once you start getting into it,
up as a comparison,
once you start getting into it, I mean, you don't think about the graphics. That's what a good game is.
If you are willing to go back and play Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VIII looks a lot better.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But it is PlayStation 1 graphics, so no surprise there.
No. Love to see it. Anyways, aside from that, 'tis the Christmas season. So
we got some Christmas stuff coming up real soon.
Yeah, we're working through some Christmas material. Got some other
the next
videos
15
planned.
Or 20 episodes will be about Christmas.
Christmas.
We'll be talking about Christmas until this time next year.
We're going to do a whole video on the discussion about your thoughts on the liberal use of mistletoe.
Yes. And another episode just on different forms of snow and snow-like substances in decorations.
And tinsel and the passing through the digestive system and the results thereof.
Tinsel and garland in the workplace.
And
I have a feeling that we could probably off an entire channel on Christmas.
Let's talk a little bit about your thoughts on White Elephant and Secret Santa related things.
Secret Santa. Anyway, before we actually start talking about some serious
we'll get into it
Christmas
if we're not careful.
This. No, we will have some Christmas episodes coming up, just a couple, 2, probably at least 2.
Yeah.
Leading up to the blessed season of Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And keep moving on from there.
Yeah. If you got the liberal use of mistletoe, put a comment down below. Tell me what it is.
Add a comment if you recognize the reference.
But anyways, guys, thanks for watching Final Fantasy VIII. Enjoy it. Play it. Tell us if you like it. Tell us if you don't like it. chew us out for saying that Final Fantasy
Even if you
VII
don't
wasn't
want
as
to play
good.
the game, go and listen to the soundtrack because it's awesome.
There's lots of really
Watch
good
the
covers.
opening.
Yeah. There's lots
Just
of really
watch
good
the
covers
opening
from
and you get in.
the Black Mages.
Black Mages.
They have some really good Final Fantasy VIII covers. So, like,
They have all good covers.
yeah, lots of Final
Yes.
Fantasy covers and Chrono Cross and Chrono, all that kind
I think
of stuff.
it's Chrono Cross.
RPG related covers.
Anyway,
Awesome
stuff.
Check us out on Instagram, Twitter,
Facebook, Twitter.
Instagram.
Got a website coming soon.
Yeah, ideally. Still waiting on our intro video.
Hopefully a new intro before too long here.
Yeah, it's developing. It's getting close. So
Mm-hmm,
these things take time. So
it's the Oompa Loompas working.
Mm. All right, guys.
They work for kids, so it's all good. All right, thanks for checking us out.
Yep. Peace.
Peace.